Zak Zoo and the Hectic House. What do you see on this cover? A boy and a lot of animals. Where are they? They are in a bathroom. Why are there so many animals in the bathroom with a boy? Let's see. This boy is called Zak Zoo. His mom and dad are away on safari. So his animal family is looking after him. Wow! Zak is living with a lot of animals. There is a snake, an elephant, an iguana, a hippo, a toucan bird, a gorilla, and a crocodile. Would you like to live with so many animals? On Wednesday night, Zak Zoo was pushed out of his bed by lots of sleeping animals. A panda, a gorilla, an iguana, and a leopard had occupied Zak's bed. There was not enough room on a bed for so many animals and Zak. Zak got up and went downstairs. Ouch! He stepped over more snoring creatures as he went. He loved living with his animal family, but the house was getting very busy. There was not enough room for so many animals. Everyone had to take turns to eat breakfast because there wasn't room at the table for them all. Zak's mom and dad liked to send him presents. They liked to send him new members for his animal family, even though the house was full. What would mom and dad send Zak this time? Mom and dad wrote Zak a letter. Muddy Base Camp, Riverbank Rise, Africa. Dear Zak, here is a rare spectacled frog. He is very shy. He likes the damp. Love, Mom and Dad. Oh, Mom and Dad had sent Zak a rare spectacled frog. A frog that wears glasses? How strange! Zak took the frog to the bathroom. It was getting very crowded in there. There was a crocodile, an iguana, and some frogs. We need a bigger house, said Zak. That night, the sock drawer was too crowded for Pam the snake. She decided to go next door to the house where Mr. and Mrs. Nesbitt lived. She hoped the Nesbitts had a big bed, with plenty of room in it for a friendly python. A python is a kind of snake and it is non-venomous. The Nesbitt's bed looked very comfortable. Pam slithered onto it and went to sleep. In the middle of the night, Mr. Nesbitt felt a tickle on his toes. Mr. and Mrs. Nesbitt opened their eyes and saw extra pair of eyes. Mr. Nesbitt switched on the lamp and let out a scream. "Sss, sss," said Pam politely. But Mr. Nesbitt got a terrible fright. Mr. Nesbitt called Zak and asked him to pick up his python. "I am so sorry," said Zak. "We need a bigger house." The problem was getting urgent. That night, it was Grace the gorilla who fell out of the crowded bed. Ouch! Grace decided that she would go next door too. Pam had told her about the big bed, which had plenty of room in it for a gorgeous gorilla. Grace climbed into the Nesbit's bed, stretched out, and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Mr. Nesbit felt a tickle on his nose. Who was tickling his nose? He switched on the lamp and got another terrible fright. He saw Grace the gorilla hugging him. Mr. and Mrs. Nesbit were so scared. Mr. Nesbit grabbed the phone and called Zak. "I am so sorry," Zak said. "I will come over right now." After he had taken Grace home, Zak rang his best friend, Mia. "I need your help," he said. "I need to find a bigger house." Okay, said Mia. "But can it wait until the morning? I am sleeping." Then she went back to sleep. The next day, Zak and Mia went to see the estate agent. An estate agent is a person who helps people to find new home. "How many bedrooms do you need?" the estate agent asked. About 30, said Zak. "What?" said the estate agent. "How big is your family?" "Quite big," said Zak. "There is one python, one iguana, one elephant, and one—" "We sell houses," said the estate agent, "not zoos." So Zak had to go back to his old house. That night, Cressida, the crocodile, decided to explore next door as well. Half an hour later, Mr. Nesbit felt something move in his bath. "Hello," said Cressida, who was taking a bath together with Mr. Nesbit. The shock of finding a crocodile in his bath was too much for Mr. Nesbit. He fainted. His wife called the ambulance. "Would you be scared to take a bath with a crocodile too?" When Mr. Nesbit was back from hospital, Zak went next door to see him. Cressida came too, carrying a present. But all the windows and the door was blocked. And there was a note saying, "Keep out," on the door. "How are you feeling, Mr. Nesbit?" called Zak. But nobody replied. "Please let us in," said Zak. "Cressida would like to say sorry." But the Nesbits just passed a note under the door. The note said, "Dear Zak, we are going on a very long holiday to a desert island. It's the doctor's orders. Goodbye forever. Best wishes, Mr. and Mrs. Nesbit." The Nesbits' house stayed empty for months. Nobody wanted to live next to a family of wild animals. Then Mia had a brilliant idea. She wrote to ask the Nesbits if Zak's family could stay in their house. They wrote back saying yes. Zak made some changes to the Nesbits' house. He had marked a big across on the roof. What kind of changes did Zak make to the house? His animal family also moved in. Wow! The animals are also helping to clean the house. How nice! Zak wrote to the Nesbits every month. In the letter, he wrote, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Nesbit, we are still looking after your house. We had to cut a hole in the roof for the giraffe. But don't worry, the rain doesn't come in. Best wishes, Zak Zoo." Oh, Zak had made a hole in the roof. Could he just make a hole in the other people's house? In real life, he could not do that, because it was not his house. How did the Nesbits react? Mr. and Mrs. Nesbit were enjoying their lives on the island and never wrote back. And that's the end.